Okay, so we'll just quickly run through the floor series just to build up some of that asymmetrical strength. So you're going to have a lie down on your back first of all, so we'll start there. So we're going to do first of all a little bit of a bridge variation. So pillow under your head if you need it, and we also should have some dumbbells ready. Okay, so the first thing to do is we're going to just put the feet into a split stance. So the leg that is closest to you, if I swap them over, this one is going to be the closest one to me. That's the one this one's the one that's working the hardest. So the closest one is going to be the one that's dominating. The other foot is on the floor, so both feet are flat on the floor, but the other leg's just a bit further away. Knees pointing to the sky. First of all, we're going to have the legs out long, and what we're doing is we're pressing up into that bridge position, dropping back down till the bum nearly touches the floor, going up and down. Our goal here is that the pelvis stays really steady so that we don't have any tipping. Gently feeling that nice activation through your inner core as you go. Still breathing. Place a hand there if you need to be sure about your alignment. If you start to lose that leg position, press a little bit deeper through the whole sole of the foot. Okay, once you've warmed up a little bit on that side, we change the legs over, we go for the other side, same process. Breathing out, feeling the core connect, pressing through the sole of the foot so you're getting high, the glutes are firing up, especially the one on the working leg. Slowly lowering down, coming back up so we're almost touching the ground but not quite. Repeating up and down, hip thrusting movements. Checking all the time to make sure that we're nicely connected, staying stable through the pelvis. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to challenge the whole muscle sling from the hip to the opposite arm. So if I change my legs around again, so we're coming back to the first leg, coming a bit closer, the other leg staggered further away, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the opposite arm high in the air and we're going to draw the elbow down to the ground and then straighten the elbow. All the time just feeling that little bit of gentle stabilization through your shoulder blades. So it always feels like your shoulder blade is just gently pulling down, very gently, so you're not shrugging the shoulder. So now we're going to go up into our bridge. So we press up into our bridge position. Once we're there, the arm's already up here in the sky. Palm is facing inwards so that it's, if you were to put your other hand up, the palms would be facing each other. Okay, and then you're going to now drop down, letting the elbow come down too, and then pressing up. Now this is going to challenge a little bit more the stability through your trunk. It's going to start working your upper body at the same time, challenging the core a little bit more. You're going to feel like you're working a bit harder through your abdominal muscles, and it's just a bit more complicated. So it will definitely feel harder this way. And we take our reps up to the point of fatigue, which is that point where you're starting to lose the form. Maybe you're rolling too much, or you're struggling to get the arm straight. Maybe the arm will fatigue before the leg, or maybe the leg's falling in. If any of those things are happening and you can't correct it, you end the set there. You would switch around and do the other side. If you find that you can keep going a bit longer than what I did, then just make those your sets a little bit longer. So we're just always challenging the body to make a change. Okay, and each time you work out, you might find you can do a little bit more. So now we're doing the opposite way around. So now the legs have switched and the hands have switched. So I'm going to take this arm up in the air, bring the hips up, and then coming back down. So elbow is coming down at the same time as the hips are coming down. Arm is going straight at the same time that the hips are going up. Good. Keeping it every so often, you can have a check on the alignment. Keep breathing, stay soft through your jaw. And if you start to get wobbles, press a little bit more with both feet so that you find a bit more stability and a bit more strength through the hips. Good. And again, you take that one to the point of fatigue, and then you would switch to your next exercise. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to turn over and we're going to do a arm and leg lift on the opposite side. So we're going to lie down on your front, and we're going to take the arms in front of you, and then what we're going to do is we're going to think about squeezing through your bum muscle, and we're going to lift that leg off the ground And at the other side, I want you to imagine you're drawing your shoulder blade down a little bit and then just lifting the arm off the ground. You stay with it for a few moments and then you bring them both back down. Squeeze through the other glute, lift the arm off, lift the leg off the ground, draw the shoulder blade down and lift this arm up. Stay with it. You're only lifting high enough that that movement is coming all through the glute and you're not bending your back. Bring everything down. Squeeze through the bum on the other side, draw the shoulder blade down, lift the opposite arm so that each time you're lifting you're not shrugging your shoulder. You're going to feel the shoulder blade muscles working quite hard. You'll also feel your core working hard to stop you from rolling. And again, you'll feel yourself lightly connected through this exercise. Keep alternating. Again, each time you're holding just for a few seconds, bringing it back down. And what you'll start to notice is this feels a little bit like walking, the pattern that you're doing here. Switching from side to side. Again, until you start to get to that point where you're fatiguing a little bit. So you're going to turn back over onto your back. And then we're going to do like a marching version of your bridge. So we're going to go up into your bridge position. Both feet are kind of even now. You're going to have your hands on the floor for a little bit of additional support. So put flat hands on the floor. And then what we're doing is we're pressing through one leg and you're taking the other leg a little bit off the ground. It doesn't need to be super high. And again, we're squeezing through the glute, pressing into the floor, trying to keep the hips as level as possible. You'll always find the weaker leg is going to have a harder time with being the stabilizing leg. Good. And we're kind of getting into this marching rhythm. You just do as many reps as you can until you reach that fatigue point. You can probably see on my left, which is the slightly weaker of the two legs, it's fatiguing a little bit more quickly than the other side. Okay, but I would just challenge it up to that point where I cannot now control it anymore. So you would just keep going. Again, if you've fatigued already, you would just stop, come back down, take a moment's rest, and then once it feels recovered, you would just press back up into it. So recovery can take a few seconds, or sometimes it takes more, like half a minute or a little bit longer. Work with what your body's ready for. Marching, marching, staying steady here, keep breathing, soft jaw, staying connected at the core, keep pressing through the foot so that the glute stays active to help you keep the height and the stability through the leg, and then you would come back down to rest. Okay, that's those mat ones. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll go up and we'll do some standing exercises. So my very budget video production, hopefully that camera is now in a good place. So now we're going to think about just getting the upper body involved in some of these core movements. So we're going to think about the weightless bow or the deadlift movement where the knees are soft but they're not bent. You're hinging forwards, and if you forget how to do that, put a hand on either side of top of the bottom of your body, or one on the front and one on the back of your back. What you should be able to do is send the pelvis backwards enough that you are then in this bent over position, okay? Knees are still pointing forwards, no falling over the legs. And then we're going to take the arms behind you, and you're just going to bend through the elbows so they bend in towards you. So now feels like the dumbbells could come around and hit me in the other shoulder. And I'm going to press those back so the arm is straight, bending, pressing. And all the time you're just feeling that light connection through your lower core, so the pressure is always being held away from the pelvic floor. You're breathing, you're maintaining this position, which is working your back really hard and your glutes are working hard, but you shouldn't feel pain in your back. You should definitely feel like your inner core is working and your bum muscles are working. If you feel pain in your back, then just come up to standing and then go back to it once that feels a little bit better. Keep pressing those elbows back, and again, you work with the number of reps you're comfortable doing. So if you fatigue more quickly, then you would just stop the reps and move on to the next exercise. But aim over time to be able to get an easy 10 of these, and ideally get into more towards being able to do 20 reps without any difficulty. These are quite nice lightweights, so it's quite achievable to get there in not too long a time frame. Once you've done that one, as long as you're still feeling comfortable through that hinge position, stay there. And now I'm going to get you to take the palms, so the palms are facing the ceiling, but we're still holding this weight. Palms are facing the ceiling, and just using the lower borders of your scapula, you're drawing the hands back and coming back down. So it's a very small movement. I don't know if I turn my back, see the movement is all coming from my shoulder blades. I'm actually not purposely moving the arms at all. The arms are being moved by the shoulder blades. I'm like a bird flapping my wings. Keep breathing, maintain that alignment, keep the chin lightly tucked so your neck flexors are getting nice and strong. Keep repeating for as many reps as you can do comfortably. If 5 is your limit, that's fine. You just work each time on building up the number that you can do. And then when you reach the end of your rep count again, we want to work towards being able to get towards 20 of these. You just build it up session by session. Once you finish those, you come up to standing. And then you would go on to do a little bit of hip work. So I would maybe go and do one of the other videos, maybe the wall series, where you're just working on the squats and the single leg stance. But again, if that's starting to feel too easy, or today you just want to work on building up your strength without this support, then now is a great time to get a mirror right in front of you. So, or you can do what I'm doing, which is using the camera as a mirror. So you are going to get yourself lined up so that we can see what's happening with the standing leg. I need to line myself so that the camera can see me straight, not at a diagonal. So you're going to start by just stepping yourself back, only as far as you can step back and still keep control. So that's the short stance, so that's where you might start. When it feels more comfortable, then you might go into this slightly longer stance. The thing you've got to watch out for as you step back is that you don't tilt your body very upright. We want the body to be long in the same angle as that leg, so it's like you become quite a diagonal. If your leg's a bit shorter, you might be slightly more upright, but what we don't want is that. Okay, stay long. Your glutes are going to serve you better in that long position. And then we're using that camera or that mirror to keep an eye on this standing leg. So you can see my trunk is stable over my leg, my femur is pretty straight, it's not falling in this way. And I'm just watching that, okay? I'm staying long, I'm letting the weight shift over my forefoot, but I'm still connected at the heel. See if you can stay there, see if you can keep aligning that. And if that feels like it's quite easy, then you would then start dropping up and down into these little mini split squats. So again, we're keeping the pelvis level, we're staying long, aiming to keep this leg straight. If it starts going that way, turn it out from the hip, so feel this engagement at the side of your bum. Coming up and down, so I'll show you a side view so you can see how that looks from the side. So again, we're coming down, you see how my torso stays long? I'm a long diagonal. If I was going to go for a run, I'm ready to spring forwards, as opposed to this. Okay, so we want to really bias all these muscles down the back of your body. Keep the leg pointing forwards. Again, you go for as many as you can manage with keeping good form and before the glutes completely tire out. And then you would swap over, you would do the same thing on the other side. Once you've done that, so again, always compare left to right because there will be a difference. And then we'll just work a little bit on some of these curtsy lunges. So just pop something for a little bit of support, but again, as soon as you can do them without the support, do them without the support. We're going to put something here. I might have to do them without this, otherwise you won't be able to see. So I'll just put my hands on my hips. So we're going to step onto that leg, and we're going to think about stepping behind and back, behind and back. So I'm working around my femur, but whilst keeping my pelvis pretty straight. You see the legs staying stable. It's really hard, but it's doable, okay? So warm up like that, and then once that feels easy enough, again, you might be holding your chair, which will help you with the alignment. As soon as that's feeling easy enough, we're going to step behind and lift that leg to the side. I did that terribly, let me do it again. Step to the side and lift the other leg, aiming to stay pretty straight through this side. Behind, step two, lift the leg, step behind, step two, lift the leg. Keep repeating up to that point of fatigue, swap over, do it again.